working. There's Tatai's guy. Hey. Well, guys, it's the July 19th. It's a Monday, and guys are all working here. We got a nice breezy morning. It's not too sunny right now. It's kind of nice. We sent the girls home yesterday. They took a van home. It's like to go to Carmona in a van. It was like $150 each. Which, guys, that's a that's a fantastic deal to go. You know, it's a 60-mile trip. So that's a pretty good deal for them. And all these guys are working here. We went to Tatai had a I believe it was his daughter-in-law had a birthday party, and they asked us to come over. Now it's right over there, but you got to go out and around. You know, you have to go all the way out through the gate. So, you know, it makes it a couple kilometer trip instead of just walk through the gate. But we went over there, and I wished I'd have brought the camera. You know, when we left, we didn't go back. But if I go back over there, it's not a tropical tunnel of Tondo, but it's kind of neat. You go through this neighborhood. It's a nice older neighborhood. Looks like it's a neighborhood from maybe the 80s, not quite 70s, but 80s. And there's some beautiful homes in there, just absolutely fabulous ones. And then, of course, you got your little, you know, it looks like cardboard shacks in there. But if you didn't know Tatai's little area, his compound was there, you'd pass right by it. You kind of go all the way to the back. Then there's a basketball court. Well, from the basketball court, there's a pathway that is very, very narrow. And you go ahead and you hike through that, and you weave around a little bit, and all of a sudden you come out to this really nice, they got a compound in there. And over their fence, there's a big durian tree. So that was really cool. Lots of durian on it. Big old one. And they had this huge compound. Now I know where all the roosters come from. I know exactly where they come from. And roosters and dogs, they had a lot of them in there. But really big compound. I'd say it was probably 55 feet wide and maybe 45 deep. And Tatai's house was right on the edge. And this is the compound right here. You know, they had all the banana trees and stuff. Really nice. And then also, right before the compound, somebody had built a fabulous new house in there. Really nice. I was looking at that. It's the white one over here. I was very, very impressed with that one. That one just got finished here not too long ago. But there's that white one that went up. Really nice. And get away from the saw. But we get a lot of these things. Tatai brings us some of these. It's kind of nice. They got them growing all over. But and of course we got our papayas. They're just growing everywhere. But yeah, it was a nice day. But the back, it woke me up about 1:30 last night. I took some of Wes's arnica. Took some last night. It's hurting so bad. It took me a while to hobble down the stairs, and then I went ahead and just a little while ago I took 3 more of them. And been trying to walk this thing off since 4 this morning. I was up from 1:30 till 4. Then I said I just got to get on my feet, and I just took off and went hiking, and I hiked all the way up until 7, just trying to walk this off. I don't like to be around everybody sometimes when this gets bad, because I'm grouchy, guys. Just plain and simple, it's grouchy, and I know that, so I just stay away from everybody. But the humidity here, I've seen on my little humidity meter in my thermometer, it's been bouncing between 60 and 70. The temperatures have been staying pretty firm in the house, and I thought, it's not working, so I put it in the freezer for a little bit. No, it's working. It's working real good. So it's just been around 78 to 80 degrees in the house. I'm going to put one outside so I could see the difference. The other one that's coming, it's going to have a barometer on it. So, but see, they cleared all this stuff out. This is Tatai's son. He's doing this all with a machete. If I show you up the road when we first passed him, They cut all this grass with the machete. They keep everything cut down like that. He does that all by hand, and it is amazing the amount they get cut down. I've seen the guys coming in here with the gasoline whackers and stuff, and these guys they just kill them. But we have been seeing. I talked to Ed the other day, and he was out there with some clippers, and he was clipping the grass off by his fence. And I says, "Oh, what's up with that?" And he says, "Because the snakes were coming over into his yard, and they don't seem to be afraid of his little dogs. He's afraid they're going to get bit, so he was trying to clip that back a little bit. And when this grass gets high, we've been seeing big lizards. My wife said that's a monitor. They're called a monitor." And they're good eating. Everybody, when we were walking, and we were with Pink Lady and Mayette. Pink Lady said, "Oh, those are yummy." But they're I'd say 2.5 feet. The last one we saw, and I've seen a bunch of them around 2 feet, and they're pretty thick, and they are fast. I mean, if you start getting close to them, they're gone. But the snakes now, we've been seeing some snakes crossing the road, just right on this little corner right here. I saw one come from across and shot over into that area right there. And then farther up, I saw a really big one. I mean, this snake had to be a good 6 feet long, and he was boogieing across the road. So that's not too good. That's when this grass gets high, they're coming up here to feed on the mice. Our little kitty that adopted us, she really doesn't like the fish, my wife says, and I says, yeah, because she's been living on a diet of mice. Every time you see her, she had a mouse in her mouth. But she's hunting still, and it amazes me. She still goes out and gets herself a mouse or two. And her little ones, they are up at that other place up there. They're starting to get a little bit bigger. I just hope she doesn't get caught again and have more kitties. That's not gonna. I don't want a whole bunch of cats around there. Right now, she's not. No cats are coming around pissing and spraying. But I had that before. I lived in a place, and we had a fella that. He worked way out in the middle of the country, and it was a dumping place for animals. Just people do that crap. If they don't like the animal, they just sort of dump them. And he started bringing these cats to home. And I saw some old feller that was feeding them, and he lived a couple streets up. I was down by the river then, and he was bringing cat feed, and I says, "What the heck are you feeding these cats? They need to get out of here." And he's like, "I'm just feeding them to keep them away from my house." Well, being that they were down by the river, and we were right on the river, they started coming and pissing around my house. And it's worse than a skunk, guys. It's horrible. When these cats start pissing and spraying and breeding little kittens all over the place. And it just started getting bad. There was one little old lady. She was coming out every day. I seen her putting tuna cans out there, feeding them. And I was like, "Please, don't feed them." She was putting these tuna cans out in front of my house, and the cats, as soon as she'd put them down, them cats were garbaging that stuff up. And I said, "Please don't put feed around here. I want them to go." And she was filling those tuna fish cans full of decon, and she was killing the cats. I think she must have killed. They would go down to the rivers. What they were doing after they'd eat that concoction that she made them, they would head down to the river, because I found so many of them along the edge of the river just dead. They'd go down the river to get a drink or something, I guess. But that little old Italian lady, she had to be 80-some years old. She got fed up on them too, and she cleaned them out. She cleaned all them cats out. And of course, a lot of the little kitties, we heard them meowing around. Some of them, my kids went out and grabbed and gave to their friends. It's kind of like rescued. So look how high that stuff got in a matter of, just seems like a week or so. But I still been walking this stupid back thing off. The first thing Arnica didn't notice anything. Now, just because I'm walking off and stretching, I laid up there last night and stretched for a good hour and a half trying to get rid of this, but I just kept getting my My right leg went completely numb. And just no feeling in it at all, just 1,000 needles. So that's not good. It's the scar tissue swelling again, but it's just something I got to deal with. It's why I moved into the warmer climate. But when it seems like this time of year, when the storms are coming and going and passing, it gets like this, and there's not much I can do about it. I do really well in the heat. When I was up by the Mojave Desert up there, I could go out in the sun all day. I don't care if it's 110 degrees. I didn't have any problem. Guess I'm like Lawrence of Arabia or something. But I just like the heat. I don't have as much trouble in the heat as I do the cold weather. Can't take it. We want to plan a trip to go back to the States and visit the family once this COVID stuff is over. But I definitely don't want to show up there in the wintertime. I know it'd be nice for the family to see the snow and have a snowball fight and all this stuff, but you know what, I don't want to do it. I probably would get locked up, and I wouldn't be able to walk around and stuff. That happened to me quite a few times when I lived in the Midwest. They'd have a big storm and I just couldn't get up and go. I'd wind up going into the hospital and getting that Solumedrol and Decadron just to reduce the swelling to get back to my feet, because then I'd get constipated and just horrible. It was just what happened. That's why I moved. I had originally was going to go to Florida. Always loved it in Florida. I just had a nice place, but the year I went down there, it had like four hurricanes in a row. I think it was 93. I don't remember. And it's funny, the people down there, they have these hurricane parties. They're all having big parties and beer parties and stuff. Everybody's off work, and they get somebody's house. They board their windows up. I mean, no big deal. The one fella I was at, he was like, "Okay, we got to put some of these boards up." Well, he had little studs, screw-in studs with machine threads on the outside and big washers, and he had the wood all ready to go. It was already made, and they put it up and you held it in place with the wing nuts. Hello, good morning. And just put that on, and he had little holes in it so you could look out. And they had he had his generator power and all this kind of stuff, and we were in his place when the storm came through, and I'm not kidding you. A lot of those places have hurricane straps on them. They also have these big baffles in the roof because it's not the wind that blows the roof off. It's the pressure change, because you'll go to a 25-30 degree temperature change in no time, and the barometer just goes whoop, it just flips, and it's the pressure inside the house that blows the roof off. Well, they have these things up on the roof, and then when that happens, they'll open. And everybody knows to keep some windows open and all that stuff. But it was amazing down there. But I didn't want to have to go through that every year. I was getting, I was helping them work too, but it was definitely messing with my back. That's why I wound up going to California. But California, man, when I got out there. Now, I don't know about all kinds of work out there. There's a lot of good people out there still. But the thing that got me was when it came to the construction guys, a lot of them, I couldn't believe the work ethic. I just couldn't believe they just don't care, and they're slow. I mean, they do a good job. There's a lot of them, they do a really good job, but it's like, my goodness, I couldn't believe how slowly they work. It's like they're on Filipino time. They just don't want to work. And I remember one time I sent a guy out to do he was just going to go out to this place to change a machine. They wanted to take this one machine out, and then they wanted to put a new one in. So I told him, you can use the existing pipe, but right up above this machine, the new power source is going to be over here. They had it all marked out on the floor of this printing place. And I said, you need to just, before the machine gets here, run your pipe over, get your wire, because we replaced it with new wire. Took a different breaker. It went from like a 30 amp to a 40 amp for the new machine. And but it was 3/4 pipe, and I said, just pull your new wire, get your breaker in, run this over to here, and then when they get there, get your bolts in for your drop, because we were going to mount this up on a pedestal, because it needed a disconnect, line the 50-foot tap rule type thing. And so that he's like, okay. So I go out there at the end. This was 7 o'clock in the morning. So I go out there around 3:30. He's gone already. And the machine's in, and nothing was done. He put a connector up on the end, and he got all this stuff laying there. And these people were like, "What the heck's going on? We need this thing up and running for tomorrow." So I got some overtime. I went ahead and put it in, and then I called the guy up, because they always give you the number. I looked him up in the office, and I said, "Hey, why didn't you do anything out there yesterday?" "Oh, well, they were, okay, well, I don't need you anymore." He's like, you can't fire me. I got hired by the owner." I said, "The owner's sitting right here. You want to talk to him?" But that was stuff I ran into on a regular basis out in California. They just didn't work. Plus, the other thing that really got me was I worked a real big job for the school. It was for, they were redoing all the grade schools and middle schools in this just a vast area all around LA. And I think we had like 7 schools going at one time, and pulling all new wire and putting the underground in, and my goodness, just so much work. And these guys were ordering wire. What you do is you put your pipe in, and then you get your true tape, and you blow it through the pipe, and then you pull out enough to go to your gear and where your connections are. And what these guys were doing with 500 MCM was they were pulling on every line an extra 10-20 feet. And we were doing orders of wire. One order of wire was $90,000-$100,000, and these guys were cutting them off. And hey, I tripped him up and caught him. I got him. I didn't care. That you don't do that kind of stuff. When you're working for your boss, you're to do a good job for him. And some guys, well, they don't pay me enough, that's why I did. No, then you go find somebody else who's going to pay you better, or you do a better job so he'll pay you better. I got all kinds of good bonuses and raises, my whole life. That one, when we caught those guys, it was unbelievable how much wire they did figuring out. And these guys were taking it in for scrap, so they're getting pennies on the dollar for how much this was. And the way they were beaten, because you got to turn in a license for this wire, the way they were beating it is they were skinning it, and then they were busting it up, because it's stranded. 500 MCM is stranded, so they were busting that up into pieces. And they estimated that they lost $100,000 on that job, and I'll bet you those guys that took that copper and maybe got $15,000 for it. That stuff is super expensive, and that's what I run into out there. I worked in the Midwest, and I never seen guys that didn't work, that didn't show up and do their job. They just come up, they keep their mouth shut, and they get their job done. But it wasn't like that in California. There was a lot of guys just bitched and complained about everything. It was when I was running jobs out there, I actually got tired of it. I got tired of it. I was like, man, you guys are supposed to be men. Go to work. Oh my goodness. The one guy told him, look, just go in the bathroom and wash your vagina, buddy. It just really killed me out there. And I'm glad I got out. A lot of people always ask me, and I've said this before in other videos. They've always asked me, was it a big culture shock moving to the Philippines? No. The folks here are just like the ones in the Midwest, down to earth, decent people. They make do with what they got. They're not all into, fancy stuff. And when I got to California, that was the biggest culture shock of my life. That just blew me away when I got out there. I couldn't believe these people. And the thing that got me the most was I only knew 3 black guys that were electricians. One of them, poor guy, got killed. He fell off a ladder, 16-foot ladder, and they said he got electrocuted. No, the fall killed him. He got electrocuted on 277 and fell. And that was a royal shame because he was a good working dude. Then there was another one, but the other black guys that they weren't electricians but worked on the job, they'd pull the race car. They'd be working, they'd get tired of working, and they'd go up to the superintendent and say, that guy called me a blah, blah, blah. You know, and the one guy even said, he got on me and he said, he was cussing me out in Spanish. Yeah, and they were going to send me home. And I went inside and I says, listen, I come from the Midwest. I don't speak Spanish. There's my beautiful Dolly. I don't speak Spanish, so that's what tripped him up. But you know, they really, there you go, grab the stick. They really they pulled their race card all the time when they didn't want to work, and don't even know why they even showed up. It just really killed me. But I never ran into that when I was young, growing up. This stuff with the BLM and all these people, I don't. It's communism. You know, same thing. What happened back in the late '60s? That was China doing that. They're fomenting this race war that's not there. I never ran into it. You know, when I was coming up, I lived in some black neighborhoods because it was cheaper over there. You know, it just was cheaper, and I didn't really have any trouble. Yeah, there's trouble no matter where you go, you know, but I didn't have any trouble over there. I ran into some pretty good folks, ran into some bad ones too, but I don't care what color you are, you're gonna run into that. But this BLM, now they're all for, you know, taking care, doing this. What are they doing for black folks? I don't, you know, are they building, fixing up places, or, you know, are they coming in neighborhoods and making it better? No, they're coming in and tearing down. You know, that's, yes?
Can we go over there by the doggies?
Yeah, which doggies? Yeah, come on, let's go this way then. Yeah, we'll have to give him a little pet this morning, huh, sweetie? Yeah, she loves the little puppy dogs. We're really itching to get a dog here soon. We're still looking. I've always been one. I've gotten some mutts that were pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but this one, because of the kids, I want to be real careful and make sure that I love to see the parents of the dog, to see their temperaments, because I've seen a dog. My one buddy I knew for most of my life. There was a neighbor dog that would always bark at people, and just not a, I don't know. You could go over by him, he wouldn't get you, and I could stand over the fence and pet him, but he was always growling and stuff. But just because he wasn't getting the love he was supposed to, and one day he just decided to jump this little fence, ran straight over to my buddy's boy and chewed his face off, just right in front of everybody at a barbecue. You know, so I don't want to get some kind of crazy dog that's been line bred, and a lot of them do that. That one pit we looked at, I'm looking at these two pits, and you know, they were a little bit different color, but those were brother and sister that they were breeding. You know, you shouldn't do that. You know, now we know another guy who's breeding pit bulls. Beautiful boy, he had some of the most beautiful dogs, and he had some pups, and nice big ones. You know, these are the big 100-pound happy boys, and I really loved the temperament of the dogs. And then he had one he brought in, a black and white one that I just fell in love with all of his dogs, and everybody couldn't believe I just went up and was petting them. You know, they weren't going to hurt me. They barked because they want petted. And he said, "You're the first person who ever went up to those pens and petted them." And I said, "No, big beautiful puppies like that, they're not going to hurt you." And I wanted to get a pup from that guy, but he wanted 40,000 peso. Well, sorry guys, no. He can go ahead and keep his 40,000 peso pups. And now they're getting to the point he hasn't sold any of them. They're too big. So now I think he's got 8 or 9 of them now. And what he was feeding them, what really got me, what he was feeding them was chickens. He would throw them a raw chicken in there, and that's what he was feeding them. And that's okay to give them chicken bones when they're not, when they're not cooked. You don't want to feed cooked chicken bones to a dog because it messes them up. That's why they don't live so long here. Everybody gives their dog chicken bones, and what happens to them? They get their intestines are perforated. That's why they're so sickly. And then plus, most dogs here got worms or mange. you just see so many. I took pictures of them. You go way back on my videos, and I took a picture of the one dog down in San Jose. It's unbelievable. And these things are run across the street, and if you hit them on your motorcycle, they don't really belong to anybody. So that's not a really good thing. Not a good thing at all. But that's how they roll here. We definitely want to get one. We're still looking. The one fellow up here was going to hook us up with a Jack Russell Terrier, which would have been fine, but it never panned out. He has a buddy that has them and had just had a litter, but that's been a month ago, and I would kind of like to get a pup that's just 8-10 weeks old. Get them from the beginning. Love them up, treat them. You can get them to be housebroken. I paper trained every dog I had within a day or two. It's just how you time them to feed. When you get them up, you give them their feed, and then take them for a little walk. And within 15 minutes, they're going to have to go. And you put them on the paper. You say, "Come on, baby," and you put them on the paper. There's the beautiful little puppies. Hi, guys. Hi, babies. Oh, how you doing, puppies? Hello. Look at those beautiful little puppy dogs. And there's the beagle. There's that beautiful beagle. How you doing this morning? Good? Good morning. Okay, we had to see those little pups. That little black one's pregnant and gonna have pups. And the fella, morning, Tetai. So it's our buddy Tetai. But he was saying if we wanted one, and they should be due around December, he said we could have one. And I don't know, it's a cute little pup. I don't want to get a whole bunch of them. Morning. I don't want to get a whole bunch of dogs. I have had at one time. I had 8 dogs at one time that were all basically house dogs. I was single, and I lived in a place where I just stayed upstairs and the downstairs where the dogs lived. I used to go walking down the street. It was a horrible neighborhood. I'd go walking down the street with all my dogs. Never needed a leash for my dogs. I just got them. I got them trained up. They were all on a verbal leash. That's just the way I got to have it. If I do go somewhere, I always have a leash in case they have a leash law. But I did go one place one time with my Great Dane, and when he was only about 2 years old, I went to this big park. Made sure he pooed before we went. And the park ranger guys came up on their speaker, wouldn't get out of their car, and said, "Put your dog on a leash." And I just walked over to him and said, "Look, they're on a verbal leash. Tut, get over here." Came over, sit down. And they wouldn't get out of their car. They were like, "Nope." And I said, "Look, guys, I have a leash. I'll put him on it, but he's wanting to run and play. He's on a verbal leash. He'll do exactly as I say." So they were cool. They were like, "Okay." But they did stay. They got off the grass and went over the edge and was watching for a while. But Tut just stayed right. He stayed right by me. And there's my beautiful boys. Aha! Not just yet. Yeah, but here's what you got to do. Come on over here, Mo. What are you guys gonna say? Well, you heard it, guys.